What if the simplest invention in history was also the most impossible? It did not come from the sky. It did not come from a dream. It came from clay. Mesopotamia, 3,500 before Christ, between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. The first potter's wheel in history. The wheel was not invented for transport. It was invented to create. The clay spun, and from the earth, civilization was born. 300 years of the potter's wheel before anyone asked, what if we turn it on its side? The wheel laid down upon an axle, and the weight of the world became bearable. The first wheels were made of solid wood, heavy, slow, but carried what 10 men could not. 3,200 before Christ, wheels arrive on the battlefield. The Sumerian war chariot redefines power. 2,000 before Christ, the Egyptians invent the spoked wheel. Lighter, faster. Pharaoh Rameses II uses it at Kadesh. The spokes reduced weight by 60%. Speed tripled in 1 century. The wheel grew lighter and the world faster. The water wheel, humanity's first power plant. Without coal, without fire, only water and circular form. With the water wheel, human beings learned something new, that nature works if you know how to ask. 700 before Christ, Assyrians, the iron rim, embraces the wooden wheel, the first fusion of metal and wood in history. In ancient Greece, the wheel ceased to be merely a tool. It became an idea. The wheel is the only object created by man that imitates the movement of the universe. Everything that exists in balance spins. No civilization in history reached the same point without the wheel. That is no coincidence. It is geometry. 312 before Christ, Rome builds the Appian Way, the first great stone road in the world, made for the wheel. Measured by the wheel, the Romans built 80,000 kilometers of roads, all measured with the odometer, a wheel that counted space, as if distance needed to be witnessed to exist. With roads and wheels, Rome connected 3 continents and 50 million people. Trade turned the ancient world. 100 after Christ, Rome operates the first industrial water mills. The wheel begins to grind the world's wheat. The mill of Barbegal in southern France. 16 cascading water wheels capable of feeding 80,000 people a day. The wheel moved the flour, the water, and the iron, and also moved something invisible, the destiny of men. But Rome fell. The roads cracked, and the wheel found a new master, fortune. In the Middle Ages, the wheel became a moral and philosophical symbol. Boethius described it while awaiting execution. I turn the wheel that turns. I delight in seeing the high descend and the low rise. Boethius. The Wheel of Fortune appeared in Chaucer, in Shakespeare, in the frescoes of churches. It was the moral map of medieval life. The wheel has constant movement. Just like life, it does not stop. With each rotation, a new opportunity, a new challenge. 7th century, Persia, the first windmills. In the world, wind became energy. For the first time in history, the wheel can be seen as the representation of the gear of the universe. Each part connected, working in harmony to create something greater. The windmills of Holland pumped water from the sea. Without them, half the country would not exist. The 13th century, the mechanical clock, a wheel that measured time, and that taught the world to obey it. Surrealism can be found in the very idea of the wheel. Despite its simplicity, it is capable of transporting us to worlds unknown. Gutenberg, 1440. The printing press is a helical wheel. The first machine to replicate human thought. With the press, ideas began to spin like wheels. A printed idea does not ask permission to continue. 1769, James Watt perfects the steam engine and places the force of fire inside the wheel. The first steam locomotive, Richard Trevithick, 1804. An iron wheel driven by fire and water, just as several wheels keep a machine running. Each person has their role in the world, contributing to collective progress. In 50 years, 150,000 kilometers of rails covered the planet. The iron wheel shortened continents. 1885. Carl Benz builds the motor wagon, the first automobile with a combustion engine. The wheel gained its own source of energy. 1888, John Boyd Dunlop. The wheel gains rubber and air. For the first time, the wheel learns to breathe. Henry Ford, 1913. The assembly line produces one car every 93 minutes. The wheel compressed production time. Ford gave us mobility at scale, but also the illusion that speed and freedom are the same thing. Here, Nikola Tesla saw the wheel as frequency. The alternating current he created is a cycle, back and forth, 60 times per second. Every time a light turns on, a turbine spins somewhere in the world. A wheel that you will never see working for you. The wheel existed long before us. It existed before Mesopotamia. It existed before man himself. The planets revolve around the sun by the same principle that the wheel turns around the axle. As Copernicus said, the center governs movement. You are a wheel that does not know. It spins. The electrons in your atoms are spinning right now. As you watch this, the circle is the only shape that has no beginning or end. The wheel does not know where it is going, and that is why it never stops. Life, like the wheel, is circular. What seems like an end is often just the beginning of another turn. The wheel teaches us about perseverance. It does not choose the terrain. It simply keeps going. Water adapts to the container. The wheel keeps its shape but moves in any direction. Constant movement and permanent adaptation. That is the lesson of the wheel. A purpose that does not need to be declared to exist. The shape of the wheel transcends the physical object into philosophy and science. It is the shape the universe chose for movement. Leonardo da Vinci drew man inside a circle. The Vitruvian Man tells us the perfect human form fits inside a wheel. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. From the atom spinning inside things to the galaxy spinning in deep space, the wheel is in everything. Visible to those who look, the universe needed no instruction to begin spinning. The circular form predates everything we know. The perfect wheel exists only in mathematics. In reality, every wheel is imperfect, like everything that is genuinely human. 2025, the wheel is being questioned for the first time. In 5,500 years, magnetic levitation, zero friction, trains at 600 kilometers per hour without touching the ground. Wheelless drones, robots with insect legs, ionic propulsion carrying probes beyond the solar system. But in aircraft turbines, in wind power plants, in nuclear generators, the wheel still spins. The wheel taught us about perseverance. It keeps spinning, facing obstacles with strength and grace. But the wheel can also represent monotony and cycles. Without purpose, the balance between movement and reflection is everything. Nothing is constant except change. Heraclitus, the wheel, agrees. Same form, eternal movement, never the same place. 3,500 before Christ, potter's wheel. 3,200 before Christ, war chariot. 2,000 before Christ, spoked wheel, Egyptian. 700 before Christ, Assyrian iron rim. 312 before Christ, Appian Way, Roman odometer. 1440, Gutenberg's press. 1769, Watt's steam engine. 1885, Benz automobile. 1888, Dunlop pneumatic tire. 1913, Ford assembly line. 2003, maglev. At 581 kilometers per hour. 2025, the wheel questions itself. 5,500 years, one form, infinite revolutions. We did not invent the wheel, we remembered it, as if the form always knew it existed. 5,500 years ago, with clay in their hands, between two rivers in the desert, simply saw what the universe had already placed in everything. The wheel has no beginning, has no end, only the spin. And without knowing, someone turned the world.